Okay, so hello, my name is Quang Anh, and today I will present about coffee price increases and consumer behavior. The business problem I'm addressing is the impact of pricing coffee price increases on consumer behavior. Many cafes are facing higher supply and operating costs, which often leads to price increases. However, raising prices can reduce customer demand or change purchase habits, and cafes need to understand how sensitive customers are to price changes in order to make effective pricing decisions. For the data, I constructed a 12-week dataset to simulate real cafe operations and customer behavior. This provides a practical foundation for analyzing demand and supply, elasticity, and supporting decision-making using Excel tools. Here we can see the demand and supply curves based on the 12-week dataset. The blue line represents the demand curve, which slopes downward, showing that as the price of coffee increases, customers buy fewer cups. The red line represents the supply curve, which slopes upward, meaning that at higher prices, the cafe is willing to supply more coffee. The point where the two curves intersect is the market equilibrium, which occurs at the price of $5 and the quantity of 390 cups. At this price, the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied, so there is no shortage or surplus. This analysis shows why finding an optimal price close to equilibrium is essential for balancing customer demand with business profitability. Next, I analyzed the price elasticity of demand to understand how sensitive customers are to changes in coffee prices. For the dataset, I compared how quantity demanded responded as the price increased each week. The results show that when the price increased from $4 to $5 and above, the percentage drop in demand was greater than the percentage increase in price. This indicates that demand for coffee in this cafe is price elastic. When price rises, customers reduce the number of coffees they buy, or they may switch to alternatives such as cheaper coffee, making coffee at home, or buying less frequently. This insight suggests that large prices increases may negatively impact total sales and customer loyalty, so any pricing decision needs to be made carefully to avoid losing demand. Here, I use Excel charting to analyze how profits change over the 12-week period as price increases. Although the cafe raised its coffee price each week, the profit trend shows a clear and consistent deadline over time. This tells us that even though the cafe earned more revenue per cup, the drop in customer demand was stronger than the benefit of increasing the price. As a result, total profit fell from around 1,640 in week 1 to approximately 900 by week 12. This analysis highlights that simply raising prices is not a sustainable way to increase profitability. If prices rise too high, customers reduce their purchases, which negatively affects overall profit. This reinforces the importance of choosing a price close to the equilibrium or exploring non-price strategies to maintain profit. Here, I use Excel's regression tool to analyze how quantity demanded and quantity supplied influence the price of coffee. The regression model has a very high R-square of 0.999, which means it explains 99.9% of the variation in price. This indicates a very strong model fit. Both variables are statistically significant with p-value less than 0.01. Quantity demanded has a negative coefficient, showing that as price decreases, demand increases. Quantity supplied has a positive coefficient, meaning that as price increases, supply increases. This regression confirms that pricing decisions should consider both demand levels and supply capacity, rather than relying purely on cost increases when setting prices. Here's a simple dashboard that connects price, behavior, and performance. On the left, the scatter plot shows price versus quantity demanded with a regression line. The equation and R square indicate an extremely strong fit. Practically, this means every $1 increase in price is associated with about 111 fewer cups sold, a large economically meaningful response. On the top right, the customer count trend confirms the behavioral effect. Customer visits steadily fall across 12 weeks as prices rise, not just the number of cups per visit. At the bottom, the revenue trend edges down from around 2,000 towards 1,650 by week 12. So while revenue per cup is higher, the volume loss dominates, pulling total revenue down. Taken together, this dashboard shows that aggressive price increases reduce demand and visits, and ultimately hurt performance. The decision implication is to hold prices near the $5 equilibrium and use value-add tactics rather than further price rises. Through this project, I was able to apply economic frameworks and business analytics to a real business problem, which demonstrates skills that are highly valuable in professional roles. By analyzing consumer behavior using demand and elasticity concepts and supporting the insights with Excel tools such as charting, regression, and dashboards, I have shown my ability to make data-driven decisions rather than relying on assumptions. These skills are directly relevant to roles such as a business analyst, marketing analyst, or retail manager, where understanding pricing, customer behavior, and profitability is essential. The ability to turn data into insights, communicate them clearly, and recommend strategic actions is important across many industries. Overall, this project has enhanced my analytical thinking, problem solving, and communication skills, which are all key employability capabilities that I can bring into future professional roles. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.